Okay, we're going to start something really, 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 really exciting, really fun for this month. This month, growing in consciousness, and Reverend Jill and I are going to be talking about some real ground floor, basic ideas, basic principles of science, mind, religious science, the philosophy that we talk about and that we teach here at the Centers for Spiritual Living. And the book, uh, the basic reference book for this month is The Basic Ideas of the Science of Mind. You can pick up a copy in the bookstore if you like. Um, it's a great little book, and I did not know. I was reading the back cover, yeah, the back cover of the book, that this was originally the book was originally published as a story in the Science of Mind magazine back in the day. I did not realize that. So um, it was one of Ernest's later attempts at really synthesizing and kind of coalescing the ideas and principles into something simple, something that we could grab a hold of. And so as I went through the book the last couple of weeks, and I sat down and I kind of mapped out my talk. Every time I went down, every time I sat down or contemplated my message, my talk for this week, it changed. It evolved, it moved, it was all over the place. And when that happens for me, that just kind of tells me that, kind of the creative juices are flowing, things are happening in consciousness, things are kind of getting stirred up and to kind of come together in a new and different way. How often do you all feel like that? Right? When you're working on something and you're saying, I need to create something, I need to do something. And it's like I start and I stop and I take 2 steps forward and I take 1 step back and I keep thinking I'm moving and doing it. It's like, stop. And finally, I just stopped and I put it away and I went, you know what? I'm just going to leave it alone. And I left it alone. And Friday we went up to Payson, visited with a friend. And yesterday morning we went out to go, up to a spot outside of Star Valley, to kind of go look for crystals and stuff. And that was kind of fun. And but still the energy was just everywhere. Yeah, and I could have gotten all kind of, I could have said, well, my birthday's coming up, and maybe it's birthday energy, and this, that, and the other. So maybe it's a birthday thing, kind of getting out of the way, creating something new beginnings. There is a theory that says like the 10 days before and the 10 days right after your birthday are like a key creative time, and da 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 da. Da. There's this whole. It's like I'm like what? And I'm just gonna be here. I'm just gonna be here. I'm gonna stop thinking about it. I'm just gonna be present. And so yesterday morning, we got in the car. We drove out to this place, outside of Star Valley, kind of looking. It's like the spot, all these crystals, and after the rain, they're just there on the ground, and we're walking around, and we found some little shards, and walking around, and our friend Melanie, she's just walking along, and she was like, "Oh, what's that?" And she found this like 2 inch long thing. Just like she just kind of scraped it up out of the ground. Nice, like 2 inch long crystal. And so we're going along, and I'm finding all these little shards, and Katie's finding some bigger ones, and I'm starting to get envious. I'm starting to get, dude, what's going on? I can't I don't get to have a big one. I don't get to have a big old crystal to take home with me, Da, 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 da. And so I'm getting all wrapped up in this, and I'm getting all in my head about the whole thing. And I'm like, hold on, dude. This is like the lesson for like the whole Sunday morning thing. I get to take the moment to get out of my own way and quit having limiting thoughts and say, you know what? I'm just going to, I am ready. I am open. I am willing to receive whatever Crystal wants to come home with me. now, in the peanut gallery back there. And so as soon as I let go and got out of my own way and just kind of wandered and let my feet lead me, I found a nice, little inch and a half, little piece of citrine. I was like, okay. And citrine is like, that's like the Leo crystal. And it's like, all right, that's pretty good. And we kept moving along, and all of a sudden we're getting ready to leave, and I kind of looked down, I kind of kicked my foot a little bit, and just the tip of one just showed itself. I'm like, oh, okay. And I got my little tool out and I scraped away, and I found another real sparkly, nice, clear piece of crystal. I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. See, I got out of my own way. I let go of that. We were talking about the restrictive thinking, right? The creative, how if I'm all wrapped up in fear and angst and anxiety, I'm restricting the flow. If I just trust in the universe, I trust in love, I trust in the creative power, I trust in that spirit that's in me, and not just in me, but in everything, I get to draw that to me. If I connect with the flow, if I connect with abundance, I connect with prosperity, I connect with health, I connect with my good, as Ernest puts it, and remain willing to receive my good and open to my good, then it flows. I let go of the fear and I choose love. So, this month, we are going to be talking about the basics and how we get there. The science of mind as a faith, a philosophy, and a way of life. A faith, a philosophy, and a way of life. And I want to really focus on it as a way of life. Sure, there are principles that we teach, principles that we practice, and all these things, but in the end, we're talking about a way of living where we get to become, where we get to open ourselves to being and becoming something new, something greater than we are, something greater today than we were yesterday. Right? So I have a handout for you today. We have a handout for you today. And I'm sorry I don't have a handout for all of you online. However, at some point I'll post a link. I didn't think to find a link for that. I'm sure we have one somewhere. And I'm going to need a copy of that too.
Absolutely, Reverend.
Thank you, sir.
There you go.
So, this is the Ernest Holmes originally. This was originally published as by Ernest Holmes as What I Believe. Centers for Spiritual Living has adopted it as What We Believe. And so we're going to move through this, not necessarily point by point, but we're going to move through it today. And so I wanted all of you to have a complete copy of it because it's good to have around. It's good to review. It's good to kind of take a look at and say, you know what, this is what we believe. These are the basic principles, and we have a few slides with a few of the key points. Let's bring the first one up, Joe. Should be there. There we go. I don't have all of them, but we have a few of them in there. All right, so we believe in God, the living spirit, almighty, one indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. And it goes on in the piece of paper that you have in front of you. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. So what is all that? God is all there is. Everywhere I look, everywhere I walk, no matter where I am, what I am doing, what I am involved in, everything I see, touch, feel, and experience is Spirit itself, God itself, Source itself, whatever pronoun or word you want to use to identify as the source of all that is, that is what it is. Ernest goes on in the basic ideas in the first chapter to talk about, in we have to remember this in the context of when he was writing, right? It's like scientists have this has science says that everything can be reduced down to a common substance, a common thing, a common energy. There is a something back of everything, and it's all the same. It's just rearranged into different forms, different expressions, different ways of being itself, right? So the chair that you're sitting on is a different way for spirit to express itself. You are a unique and magnificent and magical way that spirit gets to express itself. The flowers that we see, the cactus in the yard, the crystals we were looking after yesterday, all spirit expressing itself. And so when I was out there walking around, or we were out there walking around looking for crystals, we're like, you know what? I'm just me looking for me in a different way. Isn't that an interesting way of looking at it? It's just me looking for me. So if I'm looking to attract abundance and prosperity in my life, that's me calling me. When I'm looking for health, that's me calling forth a greater expression of me, a more aligned expression of me. If I'm looking for a different way of being, that is me saying, you know what? I want to be a little bit different, and this is what that looks like. In my mind, in my heart, I create a framework. I created an image, a vision for myself that says, you know what? This is the way I want to be. This is the way I want to express. This is how it looks, and this is how it feels. And this is, for me, a greater expression of me. I want to be more expansive. I want to be more creative. I would like to maybe play a musical instrument. And just because I didn't study that musical instrument when I was 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 doesn't mean I can't do it now. I can do it now. I can choose for that to be and draw to me the resources and the ways to allow that to happen. Sure. I can do it at 9 or I can do it at 90. I can choose to have an expression that I can embrace in my mind and heart. And that ties into like the next one in the list. We believe in the individualization of the spirit in us, and that all people are individualizations of the one spirit. The next quote that I pulled up for this week is down is like 1, 2, 3, the fourth one down. We believe that heaven is within us and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. Isn't that what do we say heaven is? Heaven is this ideal vision I have of the way life is. It's a place filled with peace, a place filled with love, a place where everything is in order, right? We all get along. I'm surrounded by people I love. I'm surrounded by people that love me. And not so, we don't have to say people, we say beings, right? We can say I'm surrounded by individualized expressions of spirit that I live in harmony with. Wouldn't that be heaven? So where is that? That is right here inside of me. I take the time to nurture that. I take the time to cultivate that. That's a good word for it. If I take the time to cultivate that idea inside of me, what happens then? as within, so without. I take the time to cultivate my own image, my own conceptualization of what heaven on earth is for me. Then what happens? The law, as Ernest Holmes defines it, the law of attraction, the law of correspondence, the law that is always saying yes to the impress of my thought, says, okay, this is your image. Let's set the steps in front of you to allow that to happen. Let's create the path. Let's create for you at least the next step to be taken in that direction. Because I get to embrace that. And remember, it's always up to me. It always begins with me. It always starts on the inside with what I do within my mind, within my heart, within my consciousness to create the framework, to create the image, to create the mental pattern of thought that says, this is where we're going. This is my conceptualization of my heart's desire. What does that look like? One of the things that came very, very clear for me this week as I was working on this, you know, was that I had some some limitations, some ideas, some limiting thoughts that kept popping up. I'm like, okay, I need to just go, okay, really need to look at this, say, where did this come from? And I got to kind of look back at my own history a little bit and say, okay, where is this coming from? What are these messages that keep popping up that get in my way? I'm like, okay, I get to look at that. I get to look at that. And it was last week I was talking about, or it was last Sunday. Yes, last Sunday. One of the core messages in when I was growing up, at least the way I interpreted it, my interpretation of what the rules were in the house was that peace at all cost. We keep the peace. And so I had to kind of look at and say, okay, what are some of the other core messages that I really bought into that are impacting me now? And so I got to work through those. I'm not going to get into all the details. We don't have time for that today. Another time. But this is one of the things. When we are planting new ideas, when we are pouring new clear consciousness into our experience, we're saying, okay, these are the ideas, these are the patterns, these are the concepts I want to embrace. Sometimes we get to stir things up and say, oh, this is what's been in the way. Oh, I had this belief in lack, or this belief that I was not enough, or this belief that says I don't deserve love, or this belief that says I don't get to have good things. What are some of the beliefs that we get to we get to let go of in order to clear the way for the new stuff? Sometimes we need to get stuff out of the way in order to accept the new or to reveal the new. Because quite honestly, from there is, if I'm talking about revealing my goodness, accepting my good, then what I'm really doing is getting these limited ideas out of the old ways to reveal the truth of who I am. And speak clearly to the truth of who I am. That I am a divine idea within the mind of God, that I am love and light and life and peace and power and beauty and joy and all of these wonderful things. I say spirit is, those are me, because I am what? I am individualized spirit. Not individual, and there's a separate from, because I'm not separate from. I'm part of this whole presence that is God, Spirit expressing. All of it. All of it. Okay, what's the next one? We believe that the universal spirit, which is God, operates through the universal mind, which is the law of God, and that we are surrounded by this creative mind, which receives the direct impress of our thought and acts upon it. Receives the direct impress of our thought and acts upon it. Ernest Holmes and Judge Thomas Troward, who was one of his favorite writers, spoke of this process as being one where we take ideas and we create a mold within the realm of law. We create a mold that says, this is what my life, a mental mold that says, this is what my life looks like. This is what I believe. I am saying that I am completely abundant and fulfilled in every way. And this is what that looks like. And this is what that feels like. And then the law says, okay, it fills the mold. Just like taking a mold for plastic, a mold for a plastic toy. Say, I want to create a Matchbox car that is the DeLorean from, what's the movie?
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future. I want to create a Matchbox car that is the DeLorean from Back to the Future. So I imagine that. And the universe says, okay, we fill the mold and we dump it out of my life and say, oh. And all of a sudden I walk into the store and I walk down the aisle, and maybe it's not even the aisle with the Matchbox. Maybe it's this little end cap display that's filled with just a bunch of random Matchbox cars. And I look, and there on the top, oh, imagine that. There's that DeLorean. I track that into my life. It's like yesterday, I created this image that says, you know what? I deserve this. I am willing to accept that I get to take a special little crystal home with me from this adventure today. And sure enough, there they were. So I said, you know what? I deserve this. I accept this. I celebrate this. I am one with Mother Earth. And I'm willing to receive this gift from Mother Earth so I can go home with it. And then as I was standing in my closet this morning, brown, blue, green, I dressed up like Mother Earth today. In gratitude. Yes.
Yes, you did.
I did. It was like it spoke to me. So, yes. So the law of God, we're surrounded by it. It's always happening. It's always saying yes. It's always saying yes to the content of my consciousness. So what is the dominant pattern? What is the dominant pattern in the tapestry of my beliefs about my life? What is that? If the entire content of my consciousness was a tapestry hanging on a wall, what would that look like? Is it drama, drama, drama all the time? Is it peace? Is it prosperity? Is it happiness? Is it health? Is it wholeness? What is the theme? What are the themes that fill this tapestry of my mental consciousness? What are the patterns that are living in there? And if I can look at that and say, okay, these are the themes, and be real honest with myself. It's like, am I looking at Fast and Furious 7 or 8 or 9? Or am I looking at The Good Place? If this tapestry had a name or movie theme, what would it be? Right? Because we get to do that. We get to write that story. We get to paint that picture. We get to weave that tapestry that hangs on the wall of my life and says, this is what it looks like for me. Over and over and over and over again, Ernest says, we're in charge. We create the pattern. And as we go through this week after week this month, we're going to look at more and more examples of how this works. in our individual lives and how we get to put it to work in our life. One of the biggest tools Ernest gave us, in cooperation with the practitioners of the time. Can I get a bottle of water out of the back, please? Thank you. Appreciate it. I usually have one back here, and I forgot because we're doing Joe's job today too. And we're so appreciative. Joe, thank you so much. I appreciate you, my friend. I really do. Really, really do. Okay. Much better. Spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer. So we're going to practice, and we're going to go through it again. I don't think I did that in there. Yeah. So, 5 steps of treatment: recognition, unification, realization, thanksgiving, and release. So those are the long word versions. And as I am wont to do, I like to teach the simple version that we taught in junior church. So, recognition is it is, or God is. Okay? Unification is I am. In other words, God is I am. Realization is I have. Thanksgiving is thanks. That's an easy one. And release is by now. Okay? So we're going to go, and there are hand motions. All right, y'all stand up. Come on. We're going to do this together. We're going to do the hand motions and everything. You can stand up and join us if you would like to on the internet, now or later. But if you'd like to stand in your room, just kind of stretch. We've been going for a while, 30 minutes. I'm going to wrap it up here shortly. We're just having fun here today. Okay, so goes like this. Are we ready? God is. I am. I have. Thanks. And bye now. Okay, now I'm going to get into the details. So you can sit. No. Got a chance to stand up and stretch. So God is. God is all there is. And then we say, we're going to keep it. God is love. Okay. I am, because God is love, I am love. I am lovable. I am loving. I'm worthwhile. I get to take up space in the world, and it's okay. I'm worthwhile. We get to name all the reasons, all the ways love expresses. We feel into that, and that's the realization part. I am. I have. This is the way, because God is love, and I am one with God. I am love, and that love expresses as. This is the I have part. Loving relationships. I'm worthwhile. I'm worthy. Love expresses in me, as me, through me, around me, all the time, in every way. Everything I do, everything I touch, everything I feel, everything I experience is love self-expressing in, through, and around me. And on and on and on. You just talk to it. Just talk about love, how it feels, and how I'm worth it. And really feel into it. And then we get into thanksgiving. So recognition, it is, God is, I am, I have, thanks. I'm grateful for this love. I'm grateful for the experience of love as my life. I'm grateful for receiving love. I'm grateful for having loving relationships. We have this feeling of gratitude. And then we let it go. We say, you know what? Because of God is, I am, I have, I'm grateful for it. It's done. It's complete. The law gets to act on it. The law is going to say, yes, I know the law has already said yes. I know this is already my experience because I've been feeling it right now. I experience it. I embrace it. I accept it. And then I get out of the way. I say, bye, see ya. Right? It's just like this. Think of it as a gift I'm giving myself. And so I've created this box. I've created this package. I've wrapped it up with a bow. And then I send it off into the universe to come back to me as a gift that I'm ready to receive. I just let it go. Thomas Troward wrote in one of his books, I think of the creative process in the individual. He said, a prayer rightly prayed is an entity of its unto itself within the realm of law. Wow. A prayer rightly prayed is an entity unto itself within the realm of law. It's like when I let it go, it's done. The law doesn't get to choose. The law has one response, and that is yes. It's always saying yes. So that, along with many other things we're going to get to address this month. Did I have anything? Did I leave anything out? Nope, we got it. All right, we're good. Telling you, it's just been that kind of week. All right, and I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for it. Let's see. I want to make sure this. So, I'm doing one more thing. So, in the beginning, one of the things that I find crucial in our teaching is that we it's very, very easy to get wrapped up in all the mental science and all the mechanics of it. And saying, okay, if I do this, and this happens, and the cause and the effect, and all the stuff. And we forget that this is about a way of living, a way of being. Okay? So, so I'm going to read this. Peace be unto thee, stranger. Enter and be not afraid. And this is Ernest Holmes. In the beginning, early, like before you even get into the book, really. I have left the gate open, and thou art welcome to my home. There is room in my house for all. I have swept the hearth and lighted the fire. The room is warm and cheerful, and you will find comfort and rest within. The table is laid, and the fruits of life are spread before thee. The wine is here also. It sparkles in the light. I have set a chair for you where the sunbeams dance through the shade. Sit and rest and refresh your soul. Eat of the fruit and drink of the wine. All is yours, and you're welcome. And with that, we'll open for questions. Your turn. Questions, comments. Yes, go ahead.
You ran through the five concepts.
5 steps.
Oh, the 5 steps? Yes. Sorry. Thank
You ran through the 5 steps, and I got down the child's version. I didn't get down the adult's version.
Oh,
Could you
okay.
run through those again, please?
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
I can go through the adult version if we have to.
We also have flyers in the lobby that
Yeah.
have all that information in it for you
that's
too.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's Can you grab the?
I've got one.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah. There's yeah. Anyway, recognition, unification, realization, thanksgiving, and release. Okay, and then there's this flyer is out in the lobby. You're welcome to grab one and take it home with you. They're right. Yeah.
Right on the table in the lobby.
Yep.
It's got all the instructions, tells you what it means, and then an example, and then you can write your own on the back.
Right.
And it has the teaching symbol as well.
Right. And that's a big part of the classwork, right? The foundations class and other classes. Yeah. So fun stuff. Fun stuff. Thank you for asking. Okay. Anybody else? Questions, comments, thoughts, ideas? Yes, Colette.
Okay, touching base on the beginning of your talk here,
Yeah.
which is very good, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Being a type A personality, I find myself planning and oftentimes controlling the way things I feel should happen in order to make them happen.
Mhm.
Can you touch base on, instead of being in the controlling force
Mhm.
with manifestation or just daily life,
Sure.
being more in the flow?
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. No. Absolutely. Wonderful question. So here's the approach that I've come to because My tendency is to overthink, right? I'm a data collector. I have been in the past a very big data. It's like I need more data. I need more information. Da 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 da. I make a plan and said, I need more data, and so I make a plan, and then all of a sudden, you're kind of, it doesn't go according to the way I want it, and my temptation is to get upset. And it's like now I've gotten to the point where it's like, you know what? What the realization I've come to is I can make all this. I can have the plan and make all the steps, right? And what I understand is that once I take that first step, the outcome of based on that first step may shift everything that follows. It may compress the timeline. It may bring forth a little piece of information that I didn't have before that says, you know what, you need to do this also that you hadn't thought of. It doesn't mean don't make a plan. It says, okay, I have a plan. My plan is a framework, right? My plan is a paradigm within which I choose to operate. And I have come to a point where I operate at this or something better. I say this or something better. And I'm open to the idea that says, you know what, maybe this is my idea, this is my intention, this is the way I expect things to go. And I'm open to the possibility that it may not be. Don't always like it. I can get angry and frustrated with the way processes roll out sometimes, especially if they challenge some of my ideas about the way I think things ought to be or should be. And I know for myself that when I start thinking about the way things should be, that's a challenge. That's a challenge. And quite frequently an opportunity for me to grow. So things should be like this. Things ought to be like this. I can have an image of the way I think I would like the world to be and move in that direction. And I'm not in charge of the universe. I'm in charge of my world and how I respond to it, certainly. But, or not but, and frequently there's an intelligence greater than I am that may have a better idea. So, work for you?
Is that the idea of we know what, but not how?
Yes, ma'am. Very good. Thank you. I knew there was a short version. There's always a short version.
No, I'm not saying that.
That's why there's two of us. That's why there's two of us. Thank you, Joe. All right. Anybody else?
I'm a big planner also, but I like to ask Spirit to help me make my plan because sometimes you need some equipment to go forward. And with the help of Spirit, you can figure out what that is.
Thank you for that, Victoria. Whoop.
Well, it's my experience that spirit is an energy with a sense of humor. And I love that because sometimes I'm bored and I say, I would like to experience this. And one time I was coming back from somewhere, we were stopping at a roadside stop, and I was saying, okay, I want to experience something really unusual. This is a boring trip, and I want to experience maybe a really great flower or a deer or something like that. So we're driving along, we stop at the rest stop, I go into the restaurant, and I come out. Here's this woman standing here who was a very dear friend when we were in Mexico, and her husband. And so we chatted for about half an hour. They were here on vacation. Now, what are the chances of that? That you stop in a rest stop and you see somebody you haven't seen for 10 years. And so I thought, God has a sense of humor. I'm going to do, you want that, I'm going to do you one better.
There we go. All right, one more. Anybody? All right, great. Okay. Yep.
I've gotten to the point of asking me to have my desires be, maybe the desire was planted because God already knew, or Spirit already knew that
Right.
she was coming. So I ask for my desires to be planted in the highest and best good for all involved.
There we go.
Lovely.
Bravo.
Lovely.
Bravo, bravo, bravo.
All right.
All right.
We're done?
Practicing the principle. All right. Almost forgot that one. Thank you, everybody. Great as always. And practicing the principles. Practicing the principles. I've got just one thing this week. This week, I invite us to stop from time to time to remember that with every step, we walk in the presence. We breathe as spirit. Our thought is spirit in action. We are an essential point of awareness within the heart of divine life. So just invite you to stop and consider that periodically throughout the week. Because I believe if we can bring this to mind, this is a key to just a better life, a better overall experience of life, right? So I invite you to embrace that. Maybe set an alarm for every hour, every couple hours during the day, just a gentle little alarm. Not that alarm, not that broad, not that one, but just a nice, quiet, gentle alarm in your phone to remind you to stop and consider our place. Mindful Monday, sign up for Mindful Monday. I'm not sure what that's going to look like this week. My talk went, so I'm going to have to go home and write that, and it will be out in the morning. And that's every week. Reverend Jill and I write up kind of a summary of our talk from Sunday, and goes out in the email on Monday morning. So that will be there for you tomorrow. Put your camera there, go to the website, sign up for it. Or you can put your name on the list out in the lobby. So that will be there. All right, let's pray. So in this consciousness, in this awareness, right here, right now, we recognize there's one power and presence, an infinite life of love and peace and beauty and joy. We call it God. We call it Spirit. We call it Source. The power and presence that is all there is. And in this, we live and move and have our being, and it in us, as us, expressing through us right here, right now. As us individually and collectively, as this spiritual community. And we feel this presence expressing through us vibrant as love and peace and joy. And we know that as we go into the rest of this day, into the rest of this week, we move as a blessing of life itself. Everywhere we look, everything we touch, everything we see, it is God expressing. And we go forward from here today knowing all is well. That each and every one of us is blessed and is a blessing to each other, to the community we live in, the state, the country, truly the world, where we are all connected. We're all connected. And so I know for each and every one of us here, and all people in all places, in all faiths, the divine love inspires and lifts us up. The light illumines our minds and hearts. That life itself is vibrant within us, expressing in health and wholeness and prosperity and wellness. That each and every one lives an abundant life, that the desires of our minds and hearts are fulfilled already. That each and every one is guided and directed to do and to be and to express that which is our heart's desire. And we celebrate it, we accept it, we know it is already complete. We're grateful for the experience already. For all is well and life is good, as each and every one of us right here and right now, in this and in every moment. And so we let it be, and so it is. All right.